Contrariwise, Maximinus was very wicked in idolatry and cruelty, where God struck him with a swelling and fistula in the belly and secret parts, which putrefying break out with swarms of lice, with such a stink that his physician could not endure the same. Wherefore he was slain of this Maximinus, but by anguish of his disease he slacked persecution, as being conscious and accordingly making confession that his persecuting had brought this upon him, and so acknowledging his offenses to God. The infidels themselves extol the only true God of the Christians. Anon, by the wicked device of Theotechnus, an enchanter, bringing the Christians out of credit with the emperor, and of Praefectus Castrorum, who got certain women to say in writing that once they were Christians, and what lascivious acts they knew the Christians did upon the Sundays, the emperor was incensed to set up decrees of fresh persecution in brass, whereby many bishops and others were martyred. Upon this followed great famine and pestilence on the heathen, to whom the Christians then showed great relief, when the heathens forsook each other. By this some peace came again to the church, Maximinus revoking his brazen decrees, and punishing his enchanters that incensed him against the Christians. Maximianus, pretending to ask aid of Constantius to depose wicked Maxentius, his son, set up by the soldiers to be emperor, as we said, but intending indeed to slay Constantius, for Maximianus would have fain resumed the empire, was slain by Constantine's officers, hanged, as some say. Maxentius this whiles goes on his wicked tyrannical reign at Rome, murdering husbands to be naught with their wives, so that one gentlewoman, her husband being slain, slew herself to avoid his ravishing of her. Kings of England. This Constantius is created emperor also over Britain. Emperors of Rome. Constantine the Great and Licentius of Caesar's are made emperors. Constantius, entreated of the Romans, came against Maxentius for his wickedness, warring upon him, and upon a bridge made of boats over Tiber, which Maxentius made to entrap and drown Constantine, was Maxentius entrapped and drowned. Constantine sets forth degrees of favor to the Christians. Licinius feigningly joins with Constantine in that act, for at the first there was great familiarity between them, Licinius marrying Constantine's sister, but all Liinius his love was feigned, who as he was an enemy to learning, calling to it poison, and an enemy to honesty, loving all base vices, so he was an enemy to Constantine secretly, plotting against his person, and to the Christians, because he said that they prayed for Constantine and not for him. And so he banished some Christians from his court, and as covertly as he could, for Constantine persecuted diverse bishops and other Christians very sorely for about 6 years. Bishops of Rome. Marcus. For these things at last Constantine and he joined battle, and after many battles, wherein still Licinius was beaten, at last was slain around the year 324. Okay, Anno Christi 331. Bishop of Rome is Marcus. For these things at last Constantine and he joined battle, and after many battles, wherein still Licinius was beaten, at last was slain around the year 324. Okay, yeah, 331 AD, Bishop of Rome, Julius. Constantius, the good emperor, the father of Constantine, died a natural death and was buried at York. Diocletian died, as some write, by his own poison. Others say with sorrow of Constantine's prospering. About the time of this persecution was St. Alban, who was the first that I find that suffered martyrdom in this kingdom. Romanus, a rare martyr, suffered at this time, who said that so many wounds as he had, so many mouths as he had to praise God. A very young child is a confessor of Christ's Godhead and is martyred, the mother rejoicing in the same. Minos, a famous martyr, in the midst of great torments, cried out that there was nothing to be compared to the kingdom of heaven. Martyrs put in a cold pond all a winter's night. A schoolmaster martyred by his scholars. The story is in verse. Eulalia, a singular martyr, in the midst of her torment, praiseth God. A place of Platina confuted. Great persecution there was in Persia, where were slain 16,000. Constantius writes to the king of Persia in behalf of the Christians also. Also he sets forth edicts in his own kingdom, of all peace and liberty, the persecutors being now vanquished, and sets up schools, prescribes prayers, establisheth religion, and so on in his empire, conferring many privileges upon the clergy. In the year 337, Anno Christi 337, and the kings of England, Octavius, Maximianus, Gratianus, Constantius II. Thus the 10 persecutions, having lasted 300 years, end, and a general peace begins in the church, in the whole Roman Empire, in Constantine's good government. 348, Anno Christi 348, Bishop of Rome, Liberius. By 447, Saxon kings begin to invade and prepare for the setting up in England their Saxonish heptarchy. Kings of Britain, Vortigernus alias Vortigerus. In the time of this Vortiger, the Picts and Scots so spoiled this land that Vortiger was fain to crave aid of the Saxons, which Saxons, at last growing strong, began to subdue the land to themselves. Whereupon the Britons complained to Vortigern against the repairing of so many Saxons. But he, not hearkening to them, was after 7 years' reign deposed by them, and Vortimer his son is chosen king in his room, as followeth in the table. 454, year of our Christ. And for the kings of Britain, Fortinaris, and Vortinarius alias Vortigerus. This Vortimer, in some good measure, suppresseth the Saxons. At length he was poisoned of his stepmother, having reigned 6 years. Then said Vortigern, before deposed, having again obtained this kingdom, Hengistus enters it with abundance of Saxons. And when he saw the Britons too strong for him, he concluded peace with them, and under that covert works treason, slaying the barons at Salisbury Plain, and thereby took the king prisoner. And so in this kingdom of England began the kingdoms of the Saxons, until they came to 7 kingdoms, all Saxonish. Yet so, as though the Britons were thus deceived of their land by the Saxons, the Britons were not utterly driven out, but that a certain kingdom remained amongst them in some part of the land, namely about Cornwall and the parts of Cambria, which is divided into 2 parts, viz. South Wales, called Demetia, and North Wales, called Vendosia. Yea, many time the Britons did win upon the Saxons, till the time of Caresius, at which time the Britons were utterly vanquished out of Britain to Wales by Gormundus, whom they themselves sent for out of Ireland for their help. So 456 AD. Now the Heptarchy, or 7 kingdoms of the Saxons, viz. First Kent, then South Sax, West Sax, Northumberland, Mercia, East Sax, East Angles, begin every one in his order. East Angles, East Sax, Mercia, Northumberland, West Sax, South Sax, and Kent. The Briton kings are driven to corners, their kingdom now extending commonly but to part of Cornwall and Cambria. This is 462 for the year. Okay, let me reread this part. Whom they themselves sent for out of Ireland for their help. Of the kings of Kent, the first kingdom of the 7, this Hengistus was slain at Ethelbert, the first Saxon that received the faith, and subdued the other kings, all save Northam, Ercumbert, first commanded Lent to be fasted in his dominions. Eggebert killed his uncle's 2 sons. Let's see, the 7 races of Saxon kings of the 7 kingdoms of the Saxons. Kent. In Kent reigned Hengistus 31 years. South Fax, West Fax, Northumberland, Mercia, East Sax, East Angles. These names are like Hengistus 31 years, Aka Emenricus 26, Ethelbertus 56, Edbaldus 24, Ercombercus 24, Egebertus 9, Lotharius 12, Edricus 6, Neuretus and Wilnardus 7, Withredus 31, Eged 23, Ethelbert 11, Auricus 34, Fadbertus 2, Euthredus 18, Baledus 18. South Fax, over South Saxons reign L 31, Sissa, Nancilius, Po KTH, Ethelwesus, Redwallus, Condabertus, Ethelredus, Adelwood, Adelbrich 5. Kings of Britain, Anrelius and Ambrosius. Let me reread this. Of the kings of Kent, the first kingdom of the 7, this Hengistus was slain. Ethelbert, the first Saxon, that received the faith and subdued the other kings, all save Northam. Ercombert first commanded Lent to be fasted in his dominions. Egbert killed his uncle's 2 sons. To Edric's time, all Cant archbishops were Italians. In the reign of this Baldred, his kingdom was translated to Egbert, king of West Saxons, who subdued him anno 832 and gave the kingdom to his younger son, Athelstan, who dying it was given of the elder son of Egbert, named Ethelwulf. His kingdom lasted 342 years. So 478 Anno Christi, Witheridus 31, Egiat 23, Ethelbert 11, Arius 34, Fadbertus 2, Euthredus 18, Bauretus 18. Over South Saxons reigned L31 Sissa, Nancanius, Pokth, Ethelwelsus, Redwallus, Conbertus, Ethridus, Adelwowid, Adelbrich 5, Adhumus. Kings of Britain, Uther Pendragon, and then Arthur between 478 and 522. Of the kings of South Saxons, Sista gave being the name of Cicester, where he reigned. Nancanlius of Britain, the chief marshal of Uter, whom Porth the Saxon slew. This Porth came in at the haven called Porthmouth from his name. The little mention in authors of Ethelwelsus made me think him to be that Adelwald, who is also called Ethelwald, which is afterward named the little mention of authors of Condibert and Ethelred, makes me think them to be those kings of Kent, or Combert and Eggebert, reigning at the same time. Adelwald was the first christened king of Suffolk. This shortest kingdom of the seven passed into other kingdoms in the days of Ive, king of West Saxons. The kingdom endured about 112 years.
Jeremy, would you see how much time that thing...
Sorry about that. 522 AD. Over West Saxons reigned Serdicus 17, Kenricus 26, Chalnigus 30, Selricus 5, Selwulfus 14, Kinegilsus and Quiocilianus 32, Kenawalkins 31. It's 522 AD. Meanwhile, in Britain, Constantine and Aurelius Cananus, 522 AD to 547. Of the kings of West Saxons, their kingdom containing Somersetshire, Berkshire, Dorsetshire, Devonshire, and Cornwall, Kinegilsus was the first christened king of the kingdom of West Sax. He was after a monk. Cedwalla went to Rome, and there was christened and died. Iva went to Rome and was made monk. Sigebert slew a good counselor for giving him good advice. He was disposed of his people and slain. Of that counselor's swineherd, Egbert subdued the other kingdoms to him, began the monarchy, and turned the name Britain into Anglia. The longest continuing kingdom lasted till West Conk coming. The kingdom lasted 554 years. Okay, Anno Christi 547. Kent, South Sax, Westfax, that's Sexburga 1, Eswins 2, St. Winus 7, Sedwalis 3, Ive 35, Etelardus 14, Cutredius 16, Sigaber 1, Kinolphus 31, Brithricus 13, Egbertus. In Northum, over Northumberland reigned, that looks like one day, 12 years after Ida. This kingdom was divided into the two provincer, v. Dira, where reigned, Bernicia, where reigned. All right, for Dira, where reigned, Ale 30, Auricans 5. For Bernica is Ada 7, Ethelfridus. Edwinus, Northum 17, Osricus, Etusridus, Oswald, Nuthum, Oswius, Northum, Oswinus, and Oswivus reigned together in Dira 7. Egfridus, north 15, Alfredus, north 20, Ofridus, north 11, Chiordus, north 2, Africus, north 9, Egbertus, north 21, Alsophus, north, 15, Malo, Northum 11, Altretus, north 10, Ethelbertus, north 5, Oswaldus, north 11, Ethelbert, north 16. After this kingdom called for 25 years till Egbert, king of the West Saxons, subdued it, as he did the other Saxons, to his dominions, after which Egbert, king of the West Saxons, succeeded to Northum, over which reigned these Westfax kings. Alright, 547 AD. Of the kings of Northumberland, Ida had 6 children by his wife, and 6 by his concubine. After Ada, some chronicles put in Bernicia, King Glappa, Theonuphus, Fribulphus, Theodoricus, Ethelfrid slew the monks of Bangor, being 2,200, because they prayed for the good success of the Britons. Edwin I christened converted king of this kingdom. Osric and Usrid are not reckoned in the race of kings, because they revolted from Christianity and were slain. Oswald, with a final number, conquered Penda, his great army, through prayer. He sent for Adamus into Scotland to preach, which, as he did in Scottish, the king expounded into English. He gave much alms. Oswivus, fighting against Penda, vowed to make his daughter a nun, giving with her 12 lordships to build 12 monasteries. Oswius slays his partner Oswinus, and chooseth another. Egfrid married Etheldreda, who after 12 years could not be allured to lie with him, getting license of him to be made a nun. And after an abbess, she made but 1 meal a day, and never wore linen. Alfred, as Beda saith, or Bede, was exactly seen in the scriptures. Osid began his reign at 8 years old. Seluf, after he had reigned 8 years, was made a monk. To him Bede wrote his history. Malo was made away with by Alfredus, his subtle train, which Alfredus also, after 10 years, was expulsed of his own people. Ethelbert was also expulsed. The 2 last kings were slain. This kingdom lasted 409 years. Okay, for Mercia. Over Mercia reigned Crida 35, Wibba 20, Seorlis 10, Penda 30, Peda, Opharis 29, Adalred 30, Kiored 5, Seolsed, Ethelbaldus 41, and Berned, that's this 561, Anno Christi 561. Of the kings of Mercia, Penda was a great conqueror of others, of Edwin and Oswald, kings of Northumberland, also of Sigibert, Edric, and Anna, kings of Estangles, and Kenwalkins, of Westfax. Under Penda, Christ was received in this kingdom. Opharis had 3 daughters, holy virgins. Adelred was made monk and had 2 sisters, holy virgins. Under Seolsed was Cuthlake, hermit of Crowland, called Saint Cuthlake. Under Ethelbald died Beda. Ethelbald gave that all churches should be free from exactions. Bernred, for his pride, was deposed of his own people. See, under the Northum section, Westfax kings. Anno Christi 561, Kent, South Saxons, Westfax Saxons, Northum. Westfax kings, Ethelwalsus, Ethelbertus, Ethelbaldus, Ethelridus, under whom were put 2 under kings, whom the Danes subdued and reigned themselves. Under Mercia, Offa 39, Acfrid, Kenelphus 16 or 20, Kenelmo, Ceovolphus 1 or 3, and Rolphus 3, Ludicanus 2, Willasius 12, he and his successors Erthos 12, Buthredus 20, Celsus 1, Ephrados, Celsus 3, Ephrados 3, were made tributary to the Westfax. All right, Bernred, for his pride, was deposed for his own people. Offa consenting to the death of Ethelbert, king of the East Angles, for his repentance caused Peter Pence first to be given to Rome. Kenelm began to reign at 7 years old, and after 6 months was slain. Ludicane was after 2 years reigning slain of Egbert, king of West Saxons, by whom the rest of the Saxons were subdued. This kingdom lasted 250 years. Okay, we're up to 561 AD, and we will stop here. Thank you.